A parent from Dorchester is trying to help children get a head start on protecting themselves from sexual abuse. She's been doing it with a book and a video. We'd like to welcome Nancy Goode Talalas. Thank you very much for being with us, Nancy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
The book is called My Private
Places.
My Private Places.
Right.
How'd you come up with the title?
Because I didn't like the word "my private parts." It sounded like a gas station, so
Right.
Parts in a gas station. But it's basically the areas that your bathing suit covers, and it's an easy way for children to understand that this is my private places, the area that my bathing suit covers.
And what made you decide to, I mean, almost every parent has to think about this with their kids. So what made you write the book?
Okay, so it all began 13 years ago when my son, who's now a freshman at a senior at Latin school, so it's 13 years, he was entering Catholic school at the height of the sexual abuse scandal in the church. And I wanted to educate him, but I didn't want to scare him. And so what I did was I put together a book. I wrote and I illustrated, put little birds in each one of the picture, and basically teaching him that his private places belong only to him. No one should ever ask to see or touch them. Listen to your instincts and to always tell immediately if anyone should do these things. But it was written in such a way that never was mentioned sexual abuse or the scare of it, because why would I ever want to harm or scare my little child? I wanted to protect him and keep him innocent. So that's why I wrote the book initially, and then a parent, I shared it with other parents, and because it's a great tool for parents to bring up the subject, you know, in an easy way. And a parent shared with me a statistic that I couldn't believe. And when I heard that, I went home and I looked it up, and sure enough, those statistics were dead on. And 1 out of 4 girls and 1 out of 6 boys will be abused by the time they're 18 years old. And 4-year-old for boys, 4-year-olds were at the highest, that was the age of their highest risk. So that was the age my son was. 90% of the time, it's a family member or a family friend, someone that child knows and trusts. So it kind of brought it on to another whole level where I realized it was a bigger picture than I ever imagined. And then I wrote a curriculum, prevention through education curriculum, which includes a teacher's manual and a parent's guide.
And we're going to bring up an excerpt from the video that gives very much the flavor of the book.
Very special to me. It's called My Private Places. My private places are in the area of my bathing suit covers. I'll put me that it's only for me.
Nothing makes me feel more special than getting big hugs and kisses from someone I love.
But I know if ever I should feel uncomfortable or get an uneasy feeling in my belly,
I would listen to me and break away, because that's the way I feel, and that's okay.
I know that no one in my family,
No one in my family. Not even my sister. And not my brother. Cousin. Aunt. Uncle. Grandparents. Step-parent. Babysitter. Friend.
Neighbor. Not even my teacher. Police officer.
Preacher.
Coach.
Fireman.
Not even the President of the United States of America.
It's so important that they can touch my private places.
No one.
Well, the first thing people will notice about the video is you get all these different kinds of kids. Now, was that random Dorchester, or was there something behind that?
Well, it was very important for me to have children from all backgrounds and disabilities represented, because this video is for all the children of the world. And in the video, you'll notice there are children, 2 of the children are actually legally blind. One has Down syndrome, one has Asperger's, and one is deaf. And it's important that I included children with disabilities because they're at an even higher risk, unfortunately, of being abused. So it was important for me to include them in the video, and they did a fabulous job. All of the children most of them are local kids, and I thank them so much because to me they're heroes, and my goal was to have their voice heard around the world, and as of today it's in 45 countries, so it's a wonderful thing.
Now, it's hard to think a child as young as these children would understand. You can describe this problem, but it's easier to describe than to understand, and yet when I hear their comments, it sounds like there's this sort of sense of self-respect I'm picking up.
Absolutely, and that's the comment that I've gotten from so many people. After they view the video, the word sexual abuse doesn't come into mind. Empowerment, self-esteem comes into mind with these children because they're empowered with the simple knowledge. And the more this awareness is out there in the public, whether it is in school as part of a curriculum, in youth-serving organizations, part of public service announcements, the more the awareness is out there, the less power a pedophile will have. Because the whole thing a pedophile has, the one thing they all have in common is opportunity. And the less opportunity they have, the safer our children will be.
Well, talk about that power, because I remember as a kid bumping into some older kid, and I ended up not doing what the kid asked, but
Right.
here's an older kid. You kind of, am I supposed to do what this person's asking?
Right, right. And so that's the whole thing, is that, and there's role plays and things like that as part of the curriculum. But a child always, and it encourages a child to listen to their instincts. If it feels funny to them, if it feels uncomfortable to them, then it is that way to them, and they should listen to it and immediately tell an adult that they trust. Unfortunately, the statistics show that a child that's been abused has to tell an average of 7 adults before they're heard, and believed. So it's so important as a community and for our elected leaders to realize that this is a front burner issue, not only because it affects our little ones, I call it prevention through education, because it's twofold. It addresses not only helping to prevent a child from ever being abused, but also the residual effects of abuse, which is high school dropout rate, teen pregnancy, drug and alcohol abuse, violent behavior with men, and in too many cases, suicide.
You mentioned something interesting about the ability of a parent to respond. A parent who goes through this book with a small child,
Right.
How do you see that changing the parent's ability?
Well, oftentimes a parent is looking, it's a very uncomfortable topic for a lot of parents to even bring up or talk about. I always joke that it's something about that word that begins with S and ends in X and followed by abuse. It's just, I was raised Irish Catholic, so I understand that whole thing. But this is a tool for them to teach their children about personal body safety. And with that, it's very disarming. Parents are more willing to embrace that idea. They want their children protected. They don't want their child abused. In school, out of school, at home. And it's very important that we all work together, though, not only at home, it being taught at home, but also in school and in youth-serving organizations. And even the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, they need to have this where maybe a badge or an award is given to these kids who go through a program, a safety awareness program. So it's awareness is key here, and if they were infomercials, if you can only imagine an infomercial running on TV right now with celebrities like Gronk or Mark Wahlberg or Tom Brady, Taylor Swift, the people that the kids look up to and respect. If they were to look right in the camera and say to these kids, you are smart, you are brave, no one, reaffirming that no one should ever ask to see or touch your private places. If we had a commercial like that running over and over again, maybe seen at the football games or on the teleprompter at the Red Sox games, the more awareness that's out there, the more aware a parent is, the more aware the child is, and the more aware that the pedophile is that their lies and their lures and their manipulations can no longer be believed.
If anyone
They
would
lose
like
their power.
If parents or organizations want to track down a copy of this, what's the best way?
The best way is the video is free, the children's book is free, and it's an e-version right now, and you simply need to go to my website, Goode with an E, Goode, books.org.